the constant voice of the law, which says do, has been shouted down by the louder voice of the gospel, which screams done, done, done. Now, there's a lot of talk out there about the fact that your failures don't define you. And thankfully, that's true. But it's just as dangerous to believe that your successes define you. So I read a quote yesterday that said, failure doesn't define you. It's what you do after you fail that defines you. Well, that didn't feel super relieving to me, okay? It's good news that our failures don't define us, but it's not necessarily good news that what we do after we fail defines us either. Feels like there's a lot of pressure. That's just as false, and it's just as enslaving. The truth is that nothing you do or don't do defines you. God defines you, and his definition for you is beloved. That's what Paul is getting across throughout this letter. That it's not what we do or don't do that defines us, either with others or with God. It's what God has done for us. He defines us. You are not what you do. You are not what you don't do. You are what Jesus has done for you. That's just a fact. It's his work that makes you right with God, not yours. It's his obedience that guarantees God's love for you, not yours. It's his performance that gets you in with God, not yours. So when he points out in the verses that I just read about circumcision, and we're like, okay, that was a rite, a ritual, a religious ritual back then that was required by the law. And there were a handful of people in the region of Galatia that thought, okay, well, I believe in God and I believe in what he's done, but now I have to go back and adhere to all the rules that God gave Israel way back during the time of Moses. And Paul's saying, no, that's over. Okay, that was over. In fact, God gave the law to Moses to expose the fact that you can't do what he says perfectly, which requires someone to do it for you. And so on and on throughout this section, he goes on to say that it's not the law or keeping the rules or being good or however else you want to say it. It's not that stuff that makes you right with God. It's God that makes you right with God. It's his work that makes you right with him, not yours. So Paul has taken 4 chapters to say in a variety of ways what Jesus said in Luke chapter 4, where Jesus said, I've come to set the captives free. In that chapter, Jesus gives us his mission statement. Why did I come? Why am I here? I'm here to set the captives free. And Paul's been saying that in a variety of ways for 4 chapters. Free from the demand to measure up, free from the burden to get it all right, free from the need to be strong, free to fall apart, free to cuss and spit and cry when life is hard, free from the burden of trying to impress God with our piety, free from the need to appease God with good behavior, free from the unquenchable pursuit to make something of ourselves. That's the freedom that he's been talking about. It's like I said a few weeks ago, because Jesus won for us, we're free to lose. Because Jesus succeeded for us, we're free to fail. Because he was strong for us, we're free to be weak. Because he was someone, we're free to be no one. So Paul has spent most of his time in this letter telling us what we are free from. But beginning in chapter 5, he switches gears and he now begins telling us what we're free for, or what we're free to do.